And I should say that the question mark on the card is actually relevant because what I care about is it being a card. That is the most powerful tool for TTRPGs. And for this one, this was a 400 pack of index cards that I got for like $1.79. So you can get a lot of index cards very cheaply, and they have a ton of uses at a TTRPG table. And I'm just going to start with a use, and that is, of course, handouts. Because put yourself in a situation where your players are going through a dungeon, and they come across an elixir of life. Do your players have how much an elixir of life heals memorized? A minor elixir of life? Experienced players would know that's a D6, but I've been running for inexperienced players at my college, UC Davis, and new players don't have stuff like that memorized, and that shouldn't be the first things they try to learn. So I use a little handout like this. It's just all the stats of an elixir of life on a single index card. Boom! You get that right there. All the information you need to use it is right there on the card. And after they use it, they hand it back to the GM. GM takes it, and they can give it to the next person who finds an elixir of life. So it isn't even wasteful because you're able to reuse this card. And on a similar note, Hero Point card. Now, there are such things as a Hero Point deck where you have a bunch of special effects that you can do with the Hero Point instead. And instead of a player just simply having a generic Hero Point, they instead draw a card from the Hero Point deck, and they can use it for a normal thing or special thing, but this is simply a handout to remind players what a Hero Point can do, and the amount of cards they have is the amount of Hero Points they have. Easy enough. Another fun utility that we found for them is as little pawns, similar to the things that you find in the beginner box. For some of them, we were actually like using torn up index cards to fill up the back of something to get a little bit of thickness, and then putting it inside like one of the little beginner box stands, so it was just kind of standing up there like so. But also, if you just fold them like this, maybe put a little eraser on the back of them, like I have here, you can actually get it to stand up on its own pretty stably, because like I can just hold up like this, I can knock it back, I can knock it forward, knock it side, and it doesn't fall over the easiest. It still falls over because it's a piece of paper being held up by an eraser, but in terms of little janky minis that you can throw together in a 15-second little time it takes you to draw a picture, this is incredible, because that means you can improv encounters in a tabletop space and have something to remind you what it is and represents it just right there on the table. Because if I were to have this, you would immediately be able to recognize that's a cat, despite my artistic skills not being what I'm known for. And on a little bit more of a somber note, the X card. I really like safety tools. I've only seen the X card be used once, but the pre-game conversation around the X card is super helpful, because I'm playing with a lot of people that may not know tabletop role-playing game etiquette, may do things that make other players uncomfortable, and I want a way that if somebody does feel uncomfortable, they have the ability to advocate for themselves to, well, not be super uncomfortable and dislike the game table as a whole, because I value the people at my table more than the sanctity of the game, because we're pretending to be elves running around the forest, like, whatever. I care more about the players than whatever the sanctity of the story is supposed to mean. So, I really like the X card. I will link in the description below a little article on what it is and how to use it in your game, because I highly advocate for safety tools like this one. And again, I have seen it need to be used once, and I was really glad that I had it that one time. Now, back on various ways to use them at normal use, we have the initiative card, where you just have like a creature and its initiative roll. And for creatures, you actually mark off when it takes damage, and when its damage exceeds its max HP, it dies. Really easy to just calculate out that way. So, boom. You now have a way to also have things slide around initiative order. Because if everybody rolls initiative, I just kind of hand the stack to a player and I say, you sort this by initiative order. And we figure out who's going first. Initiative gets figured out. People can delay. We just pick up their card and move it somewhere. It works really, really well. And also means that me as the GM, I don't need to be constantly worrying about the initiative list inside my notebook and all this other stuff. Because it's just there. Everybody can see it. It's a neutral spot. Players can mess with it. Because initiative designed to be messed with. Delay and getting knocked out has people move in initiative order. So just writing it down on a piece of paper is not as good as having a bunch of index cards with the different creatures on there. And the final fun way that we use an index card is, because I was expecting a good amount of players at the beginner box, I actually made a pre-generated ranger, and I came up with the idea of, well, when somebody picks the ranger, I'll say, you now get to pick any of the animal companions that exist to be your animal companion, to show the great diversity of options that exist in Pathfinder. And well, they picked a cat, so we have the little cat on the index card, and support benefit on the back, and it's just all the stats that you need to know to have a cat animal companion, just right there. As an easy to reference card, and it just all worked. And it's not going to be something that completely revolutionizes your gaming table, but it'll make a lot of things that were previously very annoying, very easy for, and I'm going to say this again, pretty cheap given how much utility you can get to have. And with that, that's all that I have for you today. If you want to hear more about my adventures of bringing Pathfinder to UC Davis, subscribe. And if you want more beginner-focused guides, because I'm going to be kind of aiming at more towards beginners now, also drop me a follow, because I'm going to be trying to teach a bunch of new players. So yeah, that's all I have for you today. Peace.